In this video, I'm going to do trendy nail art 3D chrome nails, and I'm going to use one of the prettiest electric nail files and LED lamps I've ever seen by Lavinda. This is what the e-file looks like. It's all covered in rhinestones. This is what LED lamp looks like. It's not just super pretty and all covered with rhinestones, it's also rechargeable, so it is going to work on the batteries without any cord. Let's get started. Hello guys, this is Anastasia. Let's start with the unpacking. And it seems like this is the cutest electric nail file I've ever seen. It's fully covered with rhinestones. We also have a manual here, and it includes a stand. At first I thought this is the stand for the e-file, but later I realized you can also use it for the handpiece. It also includes a kit of different drill bits that you can use for product removal, for manicure, and this is the black handpiece with the Lavinda logo. Let's connect it. This e-file is also rechargeable, so you can just charge it and work on the battery. It has forward and reverse mode, and the max speed is 35,000 rotations per minute. Switching between the rotations is super easy. You just need to click R if you want to do the reverse mode, and then you need to click pause if you want to stop it. By the way, the screen is not blinking, it's just showing up like this in my camera for some reason. Now let's give this electric nail file a proper test drive. I have a client with soft gel extensions. She did them by herself. Looks like she used some kind of old generation soft gel tips because they look so thick, which means we will have plenty of product to try it on. I use forward mode and the speed is 26,000 rotations per minute, and I use carbide bit with green abrasive mark. First I trim the free edge, which was super easy. It literally cuts through it like a knife through the warm butter. And now we're going to file off the product from the top. Wow, it's so powerful. Honestly, when I was unpacking it, I was a little worried because it looks so pretty, but what if it's not powerful enough? And now I can see that it definitely is. We need to file off the color first, and then I'm going to file off the product. Looks like we have a big white bubble inside, which is product lifting. So I need to be careful and to file the product around the lifting so we can carefully take it off. Do not try to file off the lifted area right away, because if the nail is not falling off yet, it means there are still some areas where the product is not lifting. So our goal is to remove the product to make it super thin where it is not lifting first, because the lifted area is going to fall off by itself, just like now. Let's try opening this door, and almost we can see that it's still hanging on the sidewall, so I use regular scissors to cut it off. Let's proceed. I always choose the drill bit depending on the product I'm working with, and also depending on the amount of product, because sometimes you can see soft gel extensions that are so thin, as well as gel polish. Sometimes you can see a super thin application, and sometimes there's way too much. If we have quite an amount of product like we have now, I recommend using green abrasive mark. If we have less product, then blue or red abrasive mark will work. And if you have too much product or working with acrylic nails, I recommend black abrasive mark. But every time I'm doing product removal, I never use speed lower than 20,000 rotations per minute. And I always use forward mode. I like the size of Lavinda e-file handpiece. It's not too small and not too big, and it's relatively lightweight. So I think it would be perfect for the entire day of work, whether you're doing product removal, fills, or dry manicure. And we're definitely going to try dry manicure as well later for this client, because after this, we're also going to do new nail extensions. Looks like we will have more product lifting on this nail. Sometimes it's not as obvious, it seems like there is no lifting, But as you remove the product and get closer to the nail, you can clearly see this difference in color. So lifted area is usually whitish or yellowish, while the part that is not lifted have a normal color, clear or pink. Sometimes a lifting can appear as the large bubble, just like we had on the previous nail, but sometimes it's not that simple. The shape of the lifting can be quite tricky, so it's important to file the product around the lifting without touching or damaging the nail. If you are not sure that you can do this, I recommend you to switch to the softer abrasive, like a carbide drill bit with red or blue abrasive mark, or maybe even to the hand file. And I'm almost done here. Whenever I file off the product around the lifting, it is time to open this door again. I'm going to use orange wood stick and let's see if it's going to easily separate from the nail. Yes, looks like it is. Well, on the top it's still slightly hanging and I'm going to use the drill bit to take it off. Goodbye lifting, now let's proceed to dry manicure. I will need 17 to 18,000 RPMs forward mode, and now I'm using diamond drill bit with red abrasive mark to do dry manicure. Depending on the client's skin type and cuticle type, I choose the drill bit and the speed. So when you're working with thin or sensitive skin, the speed can be slightly slower. I like that the switch on this electric nail file to forward and reverse mode, in between them there is the stop button, which means if you need to switch to reverse mode like I just did now, you can immediately click on the reverse button and it is automatically going to stop first and start rotating in the opposite direction, which is so cool. Like, you do not need to waste extra time just stopping it, waiting, and then switching to the opposite direction. This was the second test drive of Lavinda e-file and it is definitely suitable for dry manicure as well. I push up the cuticles and before I proceed to trimming cuticles and eponychium, I'm going to take off the surface shine, which I normally do with a hand file. However, we just took off the old product, so there's not much to prep. I just want to make sure that we get rid of the leftovers of the glue that this client used to fix some of her lifted and broken nails. Then I proceed to trimming only dead skin with manicure scissors, and I love this part when we have beautiful clean nails and we're about to do some beautiful art on them. But first let's unpack LED lamp because we're going to need it to cure gel. Lavinda LED lamp, and this is also one of the cutest LED lamps I've ever seen. And this is also my first rechargeable LED lamp. I didn't even notice it at first, but you can actually charge it and use without any cord. And it is so pretty. It's fully covered with rhinestones except for the screen that is on top. And we also have a bottom that's on a magnet, so you can easily clean it or use it for pedicure. You can always see the level of the battery on the screen in case you will need to recharge it, and we also have a cord, so you can use it when it's charging as well. It has 4 modes: 30, 60, 90 and 120 low heat mode. Numbers on the screen can be facing you or your client. You can switch it, and if you get tired of this beep sound every time it cures, you can also turn it into mute mode. Let's try it now. This is the client's nail, and to do the prep, I'm going to apply dehydrator, non-acid primer, and since we're doing hard gel extensions today, I will need to apply base coat and cure it for 30 seconds in LED. Since we need to put this LED lamp to a test, we will be doing long stiletto nails, and I will be using nude gel just to check if it's going to fully cure. For stiletto nails, I prefer using traditional forms, so I fit the form and then I'm going to build the free edge. I prefer working with medium consistency gels, so they're not too runny, but at the same time they're going to self-level, which will help you to achieve the flawless smooth surface. Just like with almond shape, there are different styles of stiletto shape. You can create it more like an almond, more rounded, or you can make it more like a needle, more pointy ones. And sometimes I heard this style is called Gothic stiletto, so that's the one we are doing today. We decided to make them really pointy because the design we're going to do, 3D chrome swirls, they're going to look so hot on this shape. So I created a thin foundation and cured it for 1 minute, and then I'm going to take more gel and build the structure of the nail. Sometimes I do it in just one take, sometimes I do two. But the most important part is that we need to apply more product in the center to build the apex so they're not going to break. And also make sure that you cover the sidewalls. Then I cured it for 90 seconds in LED because this is the new gel and we applied pretty much of the product. And now it's time to take off the forms. I was a little nervous when doing this, but it turned out that there is nothing to worry. The product is fully cured, so this LED lamp also passed the test. Oh, but we are also going to do some design later with the gel, so we're going to test drive it once again. So I take off the form. This part is always so satisfying because we get to see what the shape looks like, the client gets some kind of relief, and I don't know, I just like this look as well when you just finish the application. I prefer working with a no filing technique, which means I apply the product and later I only need to slightly shape the sidewalls, the free edge, to buff it from the top and nothing else, because I don't really like to file a lot, and also it takes a lot of time. So I take off the final form and then we need to take off the sticky residue which is on the top. Be careful because this is the part where we may get some allergies. So when you take it off, make sure that you are not touching the skin of the client. Make sure that you fold or use another lint-free wipe, so you will not be massaging this sticky layer back into the client's skin. We actually need the opposite. Once it's super clean, it's time to do filing and shaping, which normally does not take more than 10 minutes. So I just take soft e-file, which is 240 grit, file the sidewalls and slightly the free edge. And then I buffed the surface as well, and now we have these cute pointy stilettos. Time to do some nail art. First, I'm going to seal them with a glossy top coat. Cure in LED for 30 seconds, and we could stop at this point. They already look cute, nude stilettos, but we want something more fun, so let's do this design. I used solid gel to create these lines and then I applied them on the nails. I'm sorry guys that you can see me right now without the gloves. As you know, I always use them, and please do not touch the products with your bare hands. I guess I got too excited about this design, so I even forgot to wear gloves when I was doing design on first two nails. I also use orange wood stick whenever I wish to finish the line. Make sure that it is touching the surface of the nail, so it is going to adhere properly. And yes, it is going to last. We already tried it. Then I thought that it's not necessary to stick to the same thickness of these lines. It's totally fine if they're going to be thicker on one side and thinner on the other. Maybe it's going to be even more fun this way. It was so fun doing this design. I felt nostalgia from the childhood and kindergarten where we used to play with the clay and create something similar. Then we need to cure it for 2 minutes in LED, and then I'm going to add some color. I saw this design mostly with golden and silver chrome, but since I have some colorful chromes, I thought that it is going to be way more fun if we add some colors to it. So I used purple, blue and pink. Once we cure the swirls, they have a sticky layer on top, and we're going to use it to apply chrome, the same way like we normally use chrome powder with a sticky layer of the top coat. I tried using my finger first, and it works really well when you're applying chrome powder on top of the nail because there's a large surface to apply it to. But when you have just swirls, it turned out that it is much easier to apply it with a silicone brush like this, because we want to apply it not only on the top but also around the sides. And also I try to avoid touching the surface of the nail. It's totally fine if you do, because later we can easily clean it because we already cured the top coat and the chrome is not going to stick there. This kind of solid glue gel, originally it is used for soft gel tips, but you can also use it for 3D design. This is the thickest gel I've ever seen, and it was the final test drive for LED lamp, and as you can see, it is passed. The gel is fully cured. This gel has a sticky residue in any way, so you do not need to cure it for a certain time. You will have this sticky residue anyway, and then you can apply chrome. So I thought that we're going to use 2 colors on each hand, and I'm going to try to create something like an ombre. Blue with a pink, and on another finger we will use pink and purple and so on. I think it's going to be more fun if we will have colorful chromes. And as I was applying chrome to the side of the nail, I figured that it is so important when you finish these lines to make it super smooth, because when you apply chrome powder to the smooth surface, it's way easier and it's going to shine better compared to some bumpy, uneven surface. After applying the chrome powder, your client should be very careful because the chrome powder is not secured yet, and then we need to seal it with a top coat. And this is the hardest part because you need to seal only the part where you have chrome. Try to be careful and do not apply it on the rest of the nail, otherwise you may seal some parts that you normally would want to clean. That's why I'm using detailer brush to avoid this and carefully applying it only on the top of the chrome. I recommend to apply it one by one, so you apply top coat on one nail and then you freeze cure it, and use thicker consistency glossy top coats to avoid sealing the parts that you would not want to seal. Finally, we cure the glossy top coat for 1 minute in LED, and then we need to clean the remaining parts. I use the regular brush with acetone, or you can also use alcohol, and the design is finished. I love these kinds of designs. They look so unusual and remind me of something from the future. Let me guys know, what do you think? Have you tried this design? I will leave the links to this pretty e-file and LED lamp by Lavinda in my description box. Thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time here on my channel, consider subscribing, as I post nail art tutorials and product reviews just like this one every week. See you in my next one. Goodbye.